Sega.
Welcome to part 1 in our series of tutorials for Sega's new Virtua Fighter 5 Final Showdown. I'm Jeff Beckham, Associate Brand Manager at Sega, and I'll be teaching Virtua Fighter's mechanics, combos, strategies, and new features unique to Final Showdown. Designed to be understood easily, these training videos are meant for new players and for those who want to see what's new in Final Showdown. So let's get started. In Virtua Fighter, you have 3 ways to win. First, you reduce your opponent's energy to 0. Second, you knock them out of the ring. And third, you have more energy than the opponent when time is up. For now, let's focus on reducing your opponent's life to 0. We'll begin with movement around the stage so you can get into position for attacks or throws. You can easily move around the stage in 3D space with your joystick. Looking at the commands on screen, you'll see red arrows indicating that you're holding a direction. To protect yourself while crouching, hold guard and press down. You don't have to press guard to crouch, but it's a good habit to learn because it will prevent you from accidentally evading. A faster form of movement is dashing. You dash by double tapping forward or backward. Most of the time, you'll dash to get around the stage quickly, as walking may be too slow. If you need to close the gap even quicker, you can sprint by double tapping the forward direction and then holding forward. You can combine crouching and dashing to crouch dash. Quickly double tap down forwards or down back. When performing evades, make sure to tap either down or up quickly and then return the stick to neutral. If you hold a direction, you'll duck or walk sideways. When your character successfully evades an attack, they'll make a sound. Each character has a variety of attacks, with punch, kick, and guard, as well as a combination of the 3 buttons with different joystick directions. Hit both the punch and the kick buttons at the same time, and Jackie will do his beat knuckle. Likewise, you can hit 2 other buttons, such as the kick and guard button, to perform a different move. I'll add a direction on the joystick while hitting the kick button. Tap forward and hit the kick button at the exact same time, and Jackie will perform his high-angle kick. Some moves require you to hit multiple joystick directions in combination with button taps. So let's try Jackie's dashing hammer kick. Quickly tap forward twice, and then press the kick button. Make sure you're hitting the kick button at exactly the same time as the second joystick tap. Virtua Fighter has preset combination attacks, which we will refer to as strings. Depending on the character, the number of attacks in a string is different. Remember Jackie's beat knuckle, performed with a punch and kick at the same time? Try pressing punch, and then kick a split second after for a string. All attacks in Virtua Fighter will fall into one of 3 categories that correspond to where they'll hit the opponent: high, mid, and low attacks. But what's the difference between a high and mid attack? A high attack whiffs against a crouch, while a mid attack causes damage against a crouch or crouch guard. Next, let's try both standing and crouching guards against a low attack and see what happens. As you would expect, a crouching guard successfully blocks the low attack, but a standing guard doesn't. In addition to the standard high, mid, and low attacks, some moves of the same class have special priority unique to each character, but we'll talk about them later. For now, we'll discuss the low punch, which is a special low. Even though it looks like a low move, A low punch can be guarded either standing or crouching. Now that you know the difference between the two, let's move on to throwing. Throws are unguardable and one of the quickest moves in the game, so make sure to incorporate them into your offense. Standard throws are performed by pressing punch and guard at the same time while close to a standing opponent. Each character has several throws performed with a combination of joystick inputs and punch and guard. Let's try Jackie's trapping 1-inch blow by tapping back and pressing punch and guard at the same time. Or we can do his Dragon Fist Blast by tapping forward twice and hitting punch and guard. Some characters have the ability to throw crouching opponents. Press punch and guard with a joystick in the downward directions. We've looked at how to dish out damage by attacking and throwing, but what about protecting yourself against an opponent attempting the same tactic? That's where guarding and throw escapes come in. Guarding is simple. Just hold the guard button to guard against high and mid attacks. Hold down and guard to defend against low attacks. Keep in mind, a standing guard won't protect against standing throws, but a crouching guard will. You can use the guard button to reset between successive attacks. Here is the difference between simply pressing punch, 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 and pressing guard between each one. Most of the time, you want to press guard after single attacks to ensure the opponent doesn't hit you afterward. Throw escapes are simple. When your opponent tries to throw you, just hold the punch and guard buttons at the same time while holding the joystick back, forward, or neutral. All characters standing throws end with a back, forward, or neutral input. So in order to successfully escape the throw, you must guess the correct joystick direction as well. Throw escapes are now made easier thanks to the fact that while you're standing guard, you can have one primed and ready. To prevent a throw attempt safely, press the guard button first before holding punch and a direction. The added bonus of the easy throw escape is you'll block any high or mid attacks since you're standing guard. Now that you know the basics, let's talk about how we can use these techniques in a strategy to take away the opponent's health. Virtua Fighter's mechanics are based on a 3-option system, much like rock, paper, scissors. Here's how it works. Guards beat attacks, throws beat guards, and attacks beat throws. Watch what your opponent likes to do in a match and adjust your strategy accordingly. For example, perhaps they guard a lot. React by shifting your focus to throwing, because throwing beats guarding. Or, if they are aggressive and attack a lot, shift your focus to guarding. Now that we know the 3-option system, let's look at why advantage and disadvantage are so important. Let's start with some basic examples. Suppose you and your opponent both attack at the same time. What happens? Both of you take equal damage. Although it's rare, this situation does happen from time to time. But if you hit your opponent with a quicker attack first, and you both try the knee attack, you'll always win the exchange because successfully hitting the opponent will give you the advantage. Let's try that sequence again. But now your opponent guards the first hit. This time you lost the exchange. Why? Because when your opponent successfully guards your attack, they have the advantage and you have the disadvantage. Here's another example using low punch. Once again your first attack hits and both of you try to knee. You win again. And what if your opponent blocks the low punch? You lose the exchange because your low punch was guarded, leaving you at a disadvantage. However, this scenario has exceptions. The most important one is a standing punch. If your opponent either blocks or gets hit by your standing punch, you'll have the advantage. Therefore, it's a good idea to use standing punch to set up your attacks and throws. From a martial arts or boxing perspective, the standing punch is like a lead jab. Fighters use the jab to set up bigger punches, kicks, and combos, and this same mentality applies to Virtua Fighter. Don't be discouraged if you can't guard well. The more you pay attention to which moves hit or are guarded, the easier you'll react to a situation. It takes practice. Even veterans are caught off guard sometimes. Next, we'll talk about a situation involving a quick low punch and a slow attack. Jean's knee and Jackie's high angle kick are slow moves. The reward is high but risky. As Jean, hit your opponent with a low punch. Your opponent knows they're at a disadvantage since they got hit, so they anticipate your attack by guarding. Jean's knee takes a while to recover, and during this time you can't block, attack, or crouch. Here, Jackie guards John's knee attack and can punish him with a throw or a quick attack. Let's explore the throwing option. Naturally, you can't defend a standing throw with a standing guard, and you can't crouch in time to avoid the throw. You can try to attack before the throw, but in this situation, Jackie's throw will start before John has a chance to attack. Your opponent took a risk by anticipating your attack with a guard. The guess paid off, and they landed a successful throw. This is where reading your opponent can work in your favor. Suppose you recognize their pattern and see that they're trying to land a free throw after a guard. Don't follow with the knee, but throw them. You'll catch them off guard and make them more cautious about waiting to guard your attack. Now that you have learned the basics of Virtua Fighter, here is a match so you can see how these strategies can be applied. In the next video, we'll go beyond the basics of Virtua Fighter and teach you more advanced techniques such as bounce and wall combos, evade throw escapes, and tech rolling. I'm Jeff Beckham, thanks for watching and see you at the next training session.